They will tell you it's a revenue stream. That's what they'll call it. But we're going to call it like it is. Higher cost for you and for me. From the trails to the tolls, it's getting expensive to live, drive, and honestly, just exist in Washington State. Welcome to the Evergreen Report, where we make the news local and put power back in your hand. And today, you guessed it, fees, fines, broken promises, and more taxes coming to you, and of course, less joy in your everyday life. Let's jump in today. So, I'm your host, Jay, of course, and today we are talking about how the fun is getting taxed straight out of Washington State. Yes, they are taxing the fun and the joy out of Washington State. And ironic that Democrats are taxing the fun, the joy out of things, as their whole slogan in the 2024 presidential campaign was joy, 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 joy. But I digress here. So let's jump into this right away. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 10 bills. I'm going to try to cover them. I got about 30 minutes to do so. So I'm going to jump right in and get onto these. So the first one, and this is a crazy one in itself, is Senate Bill 5801. This raises the gas tax by 6%, 6 cents a gallon starting in July 2025 with annual inflation bump. It will also extend the Tacoma Narrows Bridge tolls, which were originally set to expire, and then also new fees on EVs, hybrids, luxury cars, bike sales, and even sports event tickets. Yes, you heard it. You heard it. There's just so much great stuff here, right? So much good. Increases in electric vehicle fees and hybrid registration costs because they want you to go green, but they want you to pay for it if you do. New taxes on luxury vehicles, including electric bikes and large event ticket sales. So, you like going to Mariners games? I don't think you do, because they're going to cost even more. You like going to a Seahawks game? No, you don't. Kraken? Nah. Let's start taxing, making it harder for people to attend these games, less affordable, so that either these big billion-dollar franchises have to drop their prices, which they won't, or we'll end up like Oakland and we'll lose all of our sports teams. A higher rental car and peer-to-peer vehicle sharing taxes. So more. So if you want to get home safely on an Uber, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. The tolls on the Tacoma Narrows Bridge beyond the initial debt repayment. So more, tolls for who knows what, and expanding tolling to the entire SR 520 corridor, which I think I got caught on that once because I didn't know it was a toll thing, and I got caught on it once, and then the bill ended up in my mailbox a couple weeks later after visiting Seattle, and I was like, "What the heck is this? This is crazy." So gas tax would go up from 49 cents per gallon to 55 cents per gallon, with annual inflation adjustment starting in 2026, when we already have the third highest gas prices in the nation. The rest of the nation, nice and green, good gas prices, going down under between $2 to $3 somewhere in there. Most of the nation, but except not Washington, not Hawaii, not California. Let's be the most expensive we can. Electric and hybrid vehicle owners will see higher registration fees, with rates increasing from $100 to $150, and additional inflation-based increases annually. So just to register your vehicle, keep it registered, is going to cost you up to $150 now, with more to come. Luxury vehicle purchases over $100,000 will be subject to a new 10% tax, affecting high-end car buyers, which they'll just go somewhere else. We just won't have that business in our state. Large event ticket buyers will see a new $1 per ticket fee, impacting sports fans, concert goers, and convention attendees. Then tolls of the Tacoma Narrows bridges will continue past their original expiration date, meaning no relief for commuters who expected tolls to end. Which, of course, broken promises again. Because why stick to it? Why stick to it? If the state wants green energy and clean transit, why raise EV prices too? You want green energy, you want clean, and you want climate control, but you're going to raise the EV fees for those who have those vehicles. If I'm an EV owner, I'm looking at this and be like, well, I might as well get a gas car. It's cheaper to maintain, cheaper to register, cheaper for all these things. Insurance is probably cheaper. And if tolls don't end after repayment, what else will they keep charging for? Like, where is this money going? What is it for? Higher costs. Why not just reallocate? Again, this is a common theme. Every time we talk about taxes here on the pod, it's about reallocating existing funds to avoid placing more financial burden on drivers. You know, let's keep 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 taxing them, keep tolling them. Expanding the tolling on the SR 520 beyond the floating bridge increases cost for daily commuters. The solution here: ensure toll sunset as originally planned to prevent never-ending fees. But again, what are they going to do with this money if they get it? If this passes, what are they going to do with it? Who knows? We already have one of the highest stat taxes in the country, so let's hurt our working families, truckers, and businesses that depend on fuel prices. Tolls never go away. More broken promises. Keeps it going indefinitely. This bill will keep those tolls going on the Tacoma Bridge indefinitely. Yay, indefinitely. Getting taxed more, for EV hybrid drivers, despite push for green energy. Doesn't that seem kind of weird that they're going to keep pushing for green energy, but they're going to tax you even more? Tax you even more? It doesn't make sense to me. So moving on, let's jump into the ledger, the Evergreen ledger here with policy bills with price tag. So 53 90 increased fees for the recreational access and veteran pass changes. So this actually already passed, and now it's going to the House. But first, I should probably back up before I jump into more bills here. Is if you hadn't heard, the Democrats did pass their proposed budget through the House, through the Senate, and then it got to Ferguson, decided into law, and he said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not pushing that. The only reason he did that was because of which one was it? It was either the B&O or it was the property taxes. Or I can't remember which one exactly, but he cited one of the taxes in that budget and said, no, we're not doing this, which could very well be a facade, saying, take this one out, I'll pass it. Pass all these other taxes, but take that one out to make it look good, like we did something to help the people, when really we're going to hurt the people more and more. So just remember that. So I do have to applaud Governor Ferguson for that, for not passing this crazy budget. Maybe look at the Republican budget and look at how that's pretty close to being able to balance our deficit and, reallocating funds, and while not creating any new taxes on people. Because why create new taxes when you could just reallocate money? That's the theme here. Okay, so higher Discover Pass fees and cuts for veterans. So the Discover Pass will go from $30 to $45. This already passed. Disabled vets lose free campsite reservations. So vets are losing free campsite reservations. Off-roaders get a break, but most outdoor lovers pay more. So hikers, campers, outdoor enthusiasts will pay more for a Discover Pass. It's still a great bargain, $45 for a Discover Pass up to 2 cars. Still great, $10 for a day pass still, but it's making it less affordable. If $30 is all you could pay, a low-income family, all you could do for $30, and that covered you for the season to get out with your family. Now it's $45. Where's that extra $15 going to come from? You don't have it. You're trying to pay for groceries, eggs, gas, which is already crazy high. I was in Leavenworth and I paid $4.30 something a gallon for gas. It was crazy. It's like, why? This is insane. Then I get back home and it's $4.19. I'm like, well, okay, big difference there. But that almost 20 cents makes a big difference there. Big difference. So hikers, campers, outdoor enthusiasts will pay more for the Discover Pass, increasing revenue for state parks, wildlife areas, and natural resources, as they say. This also makes minor adjustments to off-road vehicle access and pass eligibility requirement. Also, removes the free benefits for disabled veteran. Minor adjustments here and there. Revenue threshold for pass sales distribution increase, ensuring more funding for Washington State Parks before excess revenue is shared with other agencies. I really don't believe it. What are they actually going to do? Off-road vehicle users get a break. A Discover Pass is no longer required for vehicles transported on another vehicle, displaying a valid pass. So if you have like an RV and you're hitch up your car to it, off-the-road vehicle wouldn't cost you extra for that. So you'd be able to do a little bit more there, which is fine. But not everyone has an RV. A lot of people who have the Discover Pass, they're going with their car that they use every day to go to these hikes in different parks and things like that on a regular basis. This will help essentially keep the parks open and funded, prevent state park budget cuts and closures, ensuring long-term maintenance and facility improvements, adjust revenue distribution to reflect modern funding needs, helping Washington's outdoor recreation system remain financially stable. It eases the off-road restrictions, off-road recreation, so you no longer need a separate pass. So reducing the red tape for outdoor enthusiasts. Of course, the cost is really going to be something different here. A solution here: offer discounted passes for lower income families. Make that income requirement thing. If you make above this much, you have to pay the $45. If you make below this much, you pay the $30. To make it affordable, makeable, accessible for everyone. They're all about accessibility until when it comes to taxes, and it doesn't benefit them. This also removes the free benefits for disabled veterans, which is really sad. Lifetime disabled veteran pass holders will now have to pay a campsite reservation fee, removing a long-standing benefit for those who serve. Why don't we just maintain this reservation for low-income or severely disabled veterans while adjusting revenue distribution fairly? Like, that's the fair part of this, right? Like, this isn't fair at all to the veterans who served our country. Like, there was just a guy, I was at Safeway the other night, and this guy who had served in Vietnam, he's had multiple cancers, multiple surgeries, and he keeps fighting. Guess what he's doing for work? Only thing he can do, Uber, DoorDash, just to make a fucking living. Because our government, we don't take care of our veterans, the people who died for us, for all of you complaining, protesting, hands off, all this stuff, those veterans who are not being taken care of because of all these taxes. They want to do less for the veterans. It's absolutely sickening. So, of course, this is another hidden tax increases. Raising fees on public lands without cutting government waste forces us to pay more instead of finding budget efficiencies. This targeting disabled veterans is a really bad look. Removing free campsite reservations hurt those who have already sacrificed for the country, which isn't the right way to balance the budget. This isn't right. Not right at all. The state needs to prioritize spending before raising fees on public recreation. Lawmakers should audit state agencies for waste and mismanagement. Again, we need to reallocate. We need to look into this. We need to find ways to save these programs, keep them affordable for every single person in the state to be able to take advantage of. Because I guarantee if more people are able to afford 30, keep it at 30. And then if that gets veterans to the campsite, that's a great look as well that you're taking care of the veterans. So doing this, it hurt. Let's see. This will generate more revenue, helping the parks, wildlife areas, more whatnot. Veterans who previously camped for free will now have to pay reservation fees, reducing this long-standing military benefit. That's not good. There's no state tax increase here, but higher costs for individuals who visit these public lands. Yes, they need funding, but it should come at the cost of accessibility for lower incomes and veterans. They shouldn't come at that cost. It's not okay. A better balance needs to be found, in my opinion, for keeping fees lower for essential users while ensuring sustainable funding for outdoor recreation. Instead of raising fees, lawmakers should have first looked at wasteful spending in state agencies before passing costs on the citizens. Very common theme here. Let's jump down to 2031, hunting and fishing license type. Do you like how much your licenses cost? Well, guess what? Democrats don't. This bill modifies recreational hunting and fishing licenses, increasing some fees while restructuring others. Key provisions of this bill include increases in hunting, fishing, and hunting licensing fees across most categories, new license structures for small game and big game hunting, adjustments to special hunting permits and catch record cards, changes to discounts for veterans, seniors, and disabled individuals, increase in administrative penalties for noncompliance with reporting requirements. So, local impact here. Hunters and anglers will pay more for license and permit with higher costs for multi-season and special hunt permit. Veterans, seniors, and disabled individuals still receive discounts, but some categories see reduced benefits. Revenue will fund conservation programs, wildlife management, and habitat restoration. Small game and migratory bird hunters now face additional tag requirements for some species. So, again, a lot of this is agenda driven, in my opinion, when it comes to the small game, migratory bird hunters. Like, they're birds, they reproduce. It's nature. If these things are available to hunt, they've been available to hunt. Now we want to protect certain species and whatnot. That's fine. Take them off the huntable list. Hunters won't have a problem with that. Let them repopulate and whatnot. We'll hunt something else. It's really not that big of a deal. It's easy to do that. This supports conservation and wildlife management, ensuring long-term sustainability of hunting and fishing resources. Enhancement programs for game species are preserved through dedicated funding streams. Again, just take them off what you can hunt. Hunt something else, fish for something else. If you catch something, release it. It's not that big of a deal to people. Oh shoot, that's on the conservation list. I can't hunt. I can't keep that. Okay, I'm going to release that. No big deal. Kind of thing. Let it move on with his life. This bill restructures small game and big game licensing to streamline the process for hunters. So simplifying the license categories. New combination licenses allow bundled purchases, making it easier for users to get all necessary permits at once. That is something really nice. A higher cost, of course. License fees for fishing, hunting, and special permits increase. This could discourage participation. Let's maintain affordable options for our youth, seniors, and low-income residents. Pretty simple solution there. Reduced benefits. While some discounts will still exist, let's continue some free benefits have been removed or adjusted for our veterans and for our seniors. Solution: ensure that our disabled veterans and seniors retain meaningful access to outdoor activities. This is really important for those two populations, especially for our older adults, our seniors, and for our veterans as well. They need access to these activities, to the campsite, to hunting and fishing, just to keep their mental health good. We had an incident here in the Tri-Cities back in end of March, about 2 weeks ago now, where a man jumped off the bridge and committed suicide, 67 years old. So, again, this is more increases, no major state impact, but it passes the cost on to you and me. Conservation funding is necessary, but fee hikes shouldn't discourage public participation, which they will. We should focus again on budget efficiency before increasing fees. Veterans, seniors, and low-income residents should retain affordable access to outdoor recreation. It's important for everyone. It's good for everybody. But costs go up, fewer people engage, and that's not good for everyone. Not good for anyone. Let's jump into 2035, and This one, where is it? 2035. 50% increase in liquor license fees. So this bill raises liquor license permit and endorsement fees by 50%, impacting businesses that sell, manufacture, distribute, or serve alcohol in Washington. The Liquor and Cannabis Board is required to implement these fee hikes, which will generate new revenue for liquor enforcement and the general fund. What's the general fund? Please tell me what is in the general fund. 90% of the revenue will go into the general fund, not enforcement. 90%. So only 10% of all this money gained from this amazing license increase will go to actually enforcing it, but 10%, only 10% does, 90% goes into the general fund. What is the general fund? So your local bar, your local restaurants, distilleries, breweries, liquor stores will face higher licensing costs, potentially passing these costs on to you through higher prices. So if you like those good old wineries in Leavenworth, here in the Tri-Cities, we have plenty of them. If you like those and you think they're pretty affordable and they're nice to go out and do some wine tasting, those tours are about to go up in price. Because who's going to pay for it? The business is going to eat those costs. They can't. They're probably barely making enough to keep everything going. They're going to pass those costs on to you and to me, which small independent craft breweries, distilleries, and wineries may struggle to absorb the increased fees, impacting their ability to operate and expand. It's going to hurt new businesses. It's going to hurt someone with a dream. Oh, I've always wanted to open a cider house, a tap house. That would be my dream. I'm going to do it. And then boom, 50% increase in liquor license fees. I can't afford that. I didn't plan for that. I just opened last year. Businesses go under. Businesses fail because of something like this. It could have been the most amazing spot. Delicious food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Boom, tomorrow it's closed. Can't afford these fees. What happened? More revenue for state enforcement, as 10% is the new fee revenue will go to the enforcement activities, while 90% goes to the general fund. Can anyone please tell me what the general fund is? There's no direct increase on alcohol taxes, but businesses will likely adjust pricing to offset higher operating costs. This will increase revenue for public services, so helps fund liquor law enforcement, public safety, and regulatory oversight, but only 10% of it does. Modernizes liquor fees, which haven't been adjusted since 1997, which is okay. I don't think we got to go 50%. I think you can do this gradually over like a 10-year, over a 4-year period or 5-year period, 10% per year to help manage it. Instead of just here's a 50% liquor license hike. And I think also this needs to have a structure for small businesses rather than a blanket 50% increase. Because maybe some businesses only sell like some beer and things like that, but you're gonna tax the crap out of them to keep this fee, and that's not right. That's not fair to them. Not fair at all. Of course, this is gonna come right back on the consumer. Liquor sales are already heavily taxed in Washington. Businesses already pay significant alcohol taxes. This fee to hike further discourages investment in the industry. Craft breweries, wineries, distilleries will take the biggest hit. Washington prides itself on local alcohol industry, yet this bill makes it harder for small producers to compete. 50% increase in all liquor licenses, permits, and endorsements. 90% revenue goes to the general fund, 10% to the enforcement, which you're only going to spend 10% of all this money to enforce it. That doesn't make any sense. Which this will lead to businesses closing up, price increases, companies adjust to higher licensing costs, and that's not just going to be with the alcohol. They're going to increase it up and down their menu. They're going to increase it in their food, in their soft drinks, everywhere on their menu. You're going to see the increase that they're paying. It's going to make eating out, trying to enjoy a nice night out, good date night, less affordable when it's already unaffordable. Dang near to go and enjoy those things. Anywhere that sells alcohol is going to be impacted. Movie theaters, bowling alleys, arcades, restaurants, everywhere. Could affect prices at Walmart, Target, gas station, everywhere. It's already expensive. It's going to become more expensive. This is essentially a tax increase on liquor businesses without calling it a tax. The state should ensure that funds go directly to the regulation, not just the general fund. And then a tiered increase for small businesses versus large corporation would make way more sense and ensure that more businesses are able to stay afloat here. As well. Let's see. This one's just a really stupid one. I don't get it. It's just one of those equity bills. But as this is House Bill 1517, $2 tech device tax. This adds a $2 tax to smart devices over $250. The revenue will go to a digital equity programs, broadband literacy, etc. It's a small tax, but a big precedent. Once it starts, it rarely stops. So again, it starts at $2, which the funds will go to the state's digital equity account, with 30% transferred quarterly to a new learning device and technology account. This would take effect June 1st, 2025, if it passes. So every time you get a new phone, you're going to pay $2 more. Digital inclusion programs will receive new funding, helping low income, rural, and elderly populations access internet and digital tools. Retailers must manage tax collection and remittance, adding compliance costs. Potential long term benefits in digital literacy and broadband expansion, especially in underserved communities, which is, just some of the impact of the bill. Green flags here, of course, expands internet technology access, providing the funding for low income families, rural residents, seniors, supports schools, libraries, digital literacy training programs, helps fund media literacy, which, of course, media literacy, when it's on a bill like this, isn't true media training, true media literacy. Portion of funds go towards program promoting internet safety, media literacy, and responsible digital citizenship. This is just another one of those consumer taxes. We already have high sales tax. This new charge adds to consumer costs. Solution: consider funding digital equity through existing state revenues rather than a new tax. We don't have a revenue problem, people. We have a spending problem. There's no guarantee that tax funds will be spent efficiently. Government programs often fail to deliver measurable results. Solution: require transparent reporting on how these funds will improve digital access. So again, it's labeled as digital equity. It's just a disguise for more taxes, um, rather than finding waste in the budget. We slap new taxes on consumers every time we can. Let's tax the phones that they're buying. Every time a new iPhone comes out, 1,000 people, that's $2,000 right there. 20,000 people will go and do it. $40,000. And of course, then this doesn't just affect phones. I'm so sorry. I misled you there. This will also affect smartphones, laptops, tablets, smart TVs, gaming consoles, and more. So every device that's over $250, basically, that's electronic. That is a smart device. So it has the word smart in front of it. Smartphone, smart tablet, smart TV, Kindle, everything. $2 more. Wow, that's a lot of money. This is kind of a genius Ponzi scheme by the Democrats. I'm impressed. But then the retailers have to handle the compliance, which may lead to administrative costs, which will then cause costs will be passed on to you and me, the consumer. Lovely. So we'll see how effective this is. This one doesn't. There's no sunset clause on this one either. So this, once in place, this tax could expand into the future and beyond and be increased and whatnot. But of course, why take a look at fixing anything when they could just tax us more and do more? Let's see. Tobacco tax would 2033 expands the tobacco tax to synthetic nicotine. So that's on your Zyn. Again, cigars, 90% of taxable sales price capped at 65 cents per cigar. The tax rates would apply as follows. Where does it go from then? I don't know. So price increases for Zyn, vapes, nicotine pouches. Retailers will likely adjust the pricing and tax collection on nicotine products, adding compliance costs. So it's going to be more money more money out of your pockets if you use these products. General fund gets a revenue boost, but funds are not specifically allocated to public health initiatives. So this money is just going to go into the general fund, and who knows where it's going to go from there. We don't know. Let's see. Nicotine users will pay into the system, helping offset healthcare costs associated with nicotine use. Helps level the playing field by taxing synthetic nicotine the same as tobacco-derived nicotine. Higher prices may discourage youth and non-smokers from picking up nicotine habits. Aligns with efforts to reduce nicotine dependency through taxation. So we're going to try to tax you out of it instead of giving you education as the reasons why you shouldn't do it. This could also hurt smokers trying to quit. It switching to nicotine alternatives like pouches or vapes will now face the same high tax rates as traditional tobacco products. So why quit smoking? It's going to cost the same anyways. Solution: consider taxing lower risk nicotine products at a reduced rate, incentivized harm reduction, and taxes goes to the general fund, not public health. So they just go to the general fund, but they don't do anything to help general health at all, or the public health funds at all. Part of this needs to be earmarked to be a new revenue for prevention and cessation efforts. So pretty simple breakdown there of that bill. I'm trying to hurry. I'm running out of time here. About a few minutes left. The B&O tax, something really important to talk about as well, and the wealth tax. 5796. The payroll tax that absolutely failed in Seattle, but they said it failed here. Let's put it throughout the whole state. So employers must pay 5% on wages above $176,100 per employee adjusted yearly. Small businesses with a total payroll under $7 million are exempt. Companies already paying a city payroll tax, like Seattle's Jumpstart tax, receive a state tax credit. Funds go to the general fund for education, healthcare, social services. Employers cannot pass this tax on to employees, so it must be taken for entirely by the company, which means that it would hurt you getting a raise or an increase in salary and whatnot. Inflation adjustments, because, we got to pay this tax. Can't afford that. We got to pay this tax and it's going to go over here instead. Sorry. Could also hurt hiring, reallocation. It's going to drive jobs out of the state, especially hurt our tech and our finance sector. I know Microsoft, Amazon, other big companies have already spoken out against this tax as well. So something to keep an eye on here. This would only apply to the top 17% of businesses in the state, avoiding burdening small business owners. But again, those big businesses, they're going to move. They're going to leave. They may move more of those executive roles to low tax states like Texas, Florida. But we have to ensure that tax funds directly benefit businesses, heavy metro areas like Seattle, Bellevue, and Revenue. If this is going to go through, revenue goes to the general fund, not a dedicated use. That's a bad thing. There's no guarantees the funds will be used for education or healthcare, despite claims of supporting public services. Require earmarking of funds for specific programs to ensure accountability. So on to the next, the wealth tax. The wealth tax is absolutely insane. Senate Bill 5797, wealth tax on financial assets over $50 million. It's another one of those unrealized gains tax that we like to talk about, that we always feel like we're getting shortchanged on, that are always happening as well. And then there's also property taxes as well, but we're not going to hit on that since we're really short on time. As well, I want to talk about this other story here. Statewide wealth tax. This bill imposes a tax on financial and tangible assets such as stocks, bonds, ETFs, and mutual funds owned by Washington State residents with more than 50 million in such assets. The tax rate is $10 per $1,000 of taxable asset. So every $1,000 over the 50 million, $10 per. This tax is based on the fair market value of assets as of December 31st of each year. Revenue goes to the state's general fund for public schools. Allegedly, failure to pay results in penalties up to 25% of taxes due. This would go into effect January 1st, 2026. The tax is due in 2027. This affects around 4,300 ultra-wealthy residents who now will be taxed on financial holdings not previously taxed by Washington. So it's an unrealized gain. It's another way for saying unrealized gain. A potential for high net worth individuals to relocate to avoid taxation, which could reduce overall state revenue in the long run, because we want those ultra-wealthy people here. Ultra-wealthy people are good for an economy. They provide the jobs, they hold the businesses, they keep things, moving in the state. This could generate hundreds of millions annually for public education, reducing reliance on other state taxes, which still it says it's supposed to go here, but we don't know that for sure. A legal challenge is likely. The Constitution does not allow for income tax, and this could be challenged as a form of income taxation because it 100% is. Would ensure, of course, more funding for schools, reduce property tax reliance if implemented properly. But it targets the wealthiest individuals, so 4,300 people. But those 4,300 people also drive our economy here in the state with jobs and things like that. Legal challenges are almost guaranteed. They're going to fight back. They're not just going to roll over and take this, or they'll just up and bounce out of state. These wealth taxes rarely work. Rich people will just leave. California attempted the same thing. Similar measures leading to wealthy individuals moving to tax-friendly states like Washington, Texas, and Florida. If education funding is a priority, the state should audit current spending. Washington already has some of the highest tax revenues per capita. Why add another tax instead of fixing inefficiency? And we already have some of the highest per people spending in the state, and it does nothing. Our kids in middle school barely read above a third grade level for reading, fifth grade reading for math, or maybe I have those inversed, I'm not sure. And then, of course, we have the B&O tax, 5796. We just talked about that as well. Property taxes, 5798, property tax expansion, which, of course, just taxes more people out of their homes, taxes more people out of state. More taxes. Ongoing hearings for those bills are also underway. I just want to hit on this super quick. So no, I don't have time. I wanted to try to around 30 minutes. But if you go and listen to the last episode of Evergreen Report, Tri-Cities Edition, I did shout out our local school board. We went into depth about their today. So the woke wire is actually the awake wire today. So shout out to the Kennewick School Board for seeking federal guidance. So this is the third school district to do so in the state, petitioning for federal intervention and, to overrule federal law, which trumps state law, which everyone knows that. If you went to civics, paid attention in high school, federal trumps state law 100% of the time. That's just how it goes. So let's see. So remember, your voice matters, and I want you guys' feedback and, of course, call to action. Were you someone that was counting on these tolls to end? If they're not ending, what impacts that's going to have on your daily commute? You're like, yes, 2025, tolls end. I'll be able to get to work, save some money. All this toll money I'm saving, I'm going to be able to put back and purchase X, Y, or Z. What were you hoping for? What didn't you get? Do you hunt? Do you fish? Do you hike? Will these new fees change your habits? If you have a Discover Pass and it goes up, how's that going to affect your day to day? I do want to know. I want to hear from you. I really do. So make sure you guys also call your reps. They also love hearing from you as well. Ask about Senate Bill 5801, House Bill 2031, Senate Bill 5796. You can look up all those. Go to ledge.wa.gov, type in those numbers. They'll pop up. You can call local representatives. as well. They'll say it's for equity, they'll say it's for safety, they'll say it's for sustainability, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's your wallet that's lighter. Stay informed, stay vocal, and we'll keep digging. See you next time on the Evergreen Report. Remember to follow us on Instagram and X for breakdowns, for tweets, things like that. If you got a story, drop it in our DMs, X or Instagram. And you can do that at Evergreen Report, EvergreenRPT on both platforms, X and Instagram. That's where we're most active. Again, until next time, stay evergreen.